Northwest Territories taxpayers will pay the consequences of the new Stanton Territorial Hospital for decades to come. That is one of the findings from a damning Auditor General report tabled in the N.W.T. Legislative Assembly today. The new Yellowknife Hospital, which opened in 2019, was the Territory's largest infrastructure project to date. The report says the government made decisions about the new hospital without evidence, which resulted in a project that cost 62% more than it was supposed to. Luke Carroll joins us now live from the Yellowknife newsroom. So Luke, how did a project that was supposed to cost $750 million and save the public money end up costing $1.2 billion?
Yeah, so Megan, that's a question the Auditor General answers in the 45-page report. It looks at how the new Stanton Hospital was built using a public-private partnership, or a P3 model, and how decisions were made about using the old hospital building. One of the major findings was that the N.W.T's initial project plan was to renovate and expand the old hospital, and that the government didn't actually really look at how much more it would cost to build a new hospital. So, for example, the N.W.T is now also paying rent in the old hospital building, which it still owns. This came after the Territory realized it needed more space for healthcare. So part of the conditions of the lease is that the Territory actually needs to do some of the renovations on the building. Now, this was the whole reason the Territory wanted the P3 model, was to transfer those types of redevelopment risks and costs. And this decision will cost $78 million over the 30-year lease. So here's what the Deputy Auditor General had to say about that decision and the N.W.T. Finance Minister's response to it.
All along, the government knew that it needed more space. In 2016, it was leasing its building to the third-party developer. In 2017, it decided to lease it back, to sublease it back. As I mentioned, it became a rent-paying tenant in its own building and committed to making rent payments and other payments for almost 30 years. To me, that's perplexing when you know you already have a space need. You're renting back your own building.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to why they would necessarily use words like perplexing. As I'm saying, there was a change at key moments in time, and particularly when this opportunity arose. It's 2020, inflation's gone up, and we have the choice between continuing to lease, which is something I have faced questions from some of you about on previous occasions about why we pay for high leases, versus building new. Building new at that point in time was extremely expensive and very volatile.
So another unexpected expense, the government didn't consider the increased property tax, which is $140 million over 30 years. So the report also lists poor monitoring and record keeping to ensure targets and commitments for hiring local and northern businesses were actually met. There were multiple recommendations in the report, and the government has accepted all but one. Now, it's worth noting that the government said they had actually already started putting in a lot of these recommendations before the report came out. Megan?
Okay, thank you, Luke. That is the CBC's Luke Carroll live in Yellowknife tonight.